Camden is facing a shortage of bus drivers and is offering parents $1,000 to drive their own kids to Camden City schools. When that's not an option, the school district is also willing to provide free monthly New Jersey Transit bus tickets. Welcome back. Camden isn't the only school district in the state dealing with COVID-related problems. As Jersey Matters' Phil Andrews tells us now, every school district in the state is dealing with some issue related to COVID. Phil.
Well, it certainly was a tough start to the school year here in the Garden State, as parents had to consider sending their children back into the classroom, thinking about mask mandates, vaccines, and of course now there's another issue to worry about.
Yep, there's a shortage of school bus drivers, and it's become a nationwide issue. In Glassboro, the school district changed its dismissal times for several schools because 8 drivers resigned prior to the start of the school year. And here in Washington Township, they're down 10 drivers, which, as you would expect, has created some problems.
It's a very stressful work environment right now. We have some drivers that will do a route for a school and then have to go back and do a different route for the same school to make sure that these students actually get to school. Getting them home can be difficult because obviously we have parents waiting at bus stops for students, and sometimes these buses run late. So it's just a case of cramming as much physical driving time into the allotted paid time.
And Ms. Kosar just said the magic words, allotted pay time, because it appears the pay scale for school bus drivers is one of the top issues in the declining numbers.
We definitely need to compensate drivers for the level of skills that they have driving these students to school safely. We have, state mandated checks that we have to do with our buses every day to make sure they're safe to drive. We have standards that we have to adhere to while we're driving. We obviously can't have more students on a bus than the bus is allowed to take. We have to make sure these students are seat belted at all times. And it's been an issue over the last many years that our support staff, our non-certified staff in schools, are not paid as we feel that they should be.
And then, of course, there is the issue of COVID-19.
I think a lot of people are taking early retirement because the issue is ongoing and it's fluctuating. People are scared. On a school bus, you perhaps have 52 students on a school bus. It's almost impossible to make sure everyone wears a mask. You can't discipline a student for not wearing a mask. But the safety of everybody on that school bus, especially the driver, is a concern.
Meanwhile, prior to the Gloucester Township School Board meeting this week, teachers protesting that they are currently working without a contract, which, by the way, expired back on June 30th.
We pivoted on a dime during this whole pandemic for the past year and a half. They threw... They threw new technology at us, and we had to learn it within 24 hours and have it up and running.
Now, there are about 100 other school districts throughout New Jersey where teachers are working without contracts. And because teachers are not allowed to strike, the frustration comes from basically being at the mercy of their respective school boards.
It can start to, impact things like, just morale and other things that you don't want to have, seeping into a school or district. So you try not to have that happen that often. And if you're a district that repeatedly goes without figuring out your contract before the next one, needs to start, you develop a pattern there that certainly can have a negative effect long-term as well.
And while there are those currently working without contracts, there are other teachers and support staff around the state being laid off by their school districts.
In Gloucester Township, for Jersey Matters, I'm Phil Andrews.